Hey guys, it's Paul, combat veteran, MMA fighter, YouTuber. We are going to be checking out today a documentary on the Thai Royal Marine training and selection. Um, so I gotta say, I don't know a ton about the Thai military. I know that Thailand is ostensibly governed by a king who actually has a lot of real political authority. Um, and I know the Thai military is pretty highly regarded among East Asian military forces. That said, before we get started, please hit like, let the YouTube algorithm know I am not making clickbait content here. I'm putting out good stuff. And of course, subscribe for more military reaction content. I take a look at documentaries, films, movies, video games, you name it. I take a look at it and try to learn something while we're at it. All right, now that that's done, let's get started.
Only the best will make the grade. Thailand's toughest training course, designed to break.
All right, we're going to have to skip around a little bit because this is like 45 minutes long. But we're going to try to hit some of the highlights and get a sense of how they're training and selecting these folks.
All but the best. And the pain starts here. The Marine Special Warfare Training Center in Sattahip, Eastern Thailand. It's day one of training. These 84 men have been selected from the best of the Thai military. From here on, all officers and men will be equal. No rank, no names, and no hair. This is phase one, nicknamed Hercules training. 33 days of constant physical and mental punishment. Today's sole aim is to find the weakest recruits.
การฝึกรับน้องก็คือเป็นการฝึกเบื้องต้นถ้าใครเตรียมมาไม่พร้อมไม่ถึงไม่ดีก็จะออกไป
Yeah, I think this is pretty common in militaries that have that are very selective, or units that are very selective. You've got to at least start by just weeding out the people that are. I'm going to use the word like not deluded maybe, but like not fully aware of what they are signing up for exactly. There's always going to be some folks who don't take the preparation seriously, that don't develop the skill sets before getting there, that aren't really there to be serious, right? A lot of people who are pretenders who want to say they signed up for the selection and that sort of thing. So you've just got to grind those folks out. 33 days is a tremendous length of time to do this very, very hard, grueling physical training.
Nearly 1/3 of these men won't make it to the end of training. And some, not even the end of the day.
See, this is the kind of thing exactly what I'm talking about. 45 minutes of hard exercise, right? And again, it's possible that these folks weren't prepared, had an underlying condition. Even stuff like dehydration, like not properly hydrating going into it, can cause that to happen.
The training here is so extreme that 2 men have died from the previous 2 courses.
ตั้งแต่วันแรกที่นักเรียนก้าวเท้าเข้ามาสู่หลักสูตรนั่นหมายถึงว่ามีอันตราย Recon เนี่ยเป็นหลักสูตรที่สามารถจำหน่ายในการเสียชีวิตได้ 5%
That's insane. A 5% death rate is insane. So that is 1 in every 20 Thai Royal Marine candidates will die. I mean, honestly, again, in the U.S., like this, some of this is a function of, well, I don't know. In the United States, that would be unacceptable, right? But in Thailand, because they are ruled by a king and largely now the military, then they don't necessarily have to answer to the public for some of these things that they do, right? Again, killing 1 in 20 of their candidates. And again, many of these candidates, as they said, are high performers elsewhere in the Thai military. In the United States military, if you are a non-select or don't complete Q course, you go back to your unit and your unit respects you for having gone out there and done it, right? The military doesn't kick you out, and it certainly doesn't actively try to kill you.
Extreme training for an even more extreme job. In a few months, these men could find themselves in active operations in Thailand's troubled southern provinces. 3 hours in, and it's a run with a log weighing nearly 150 kilograms. The intensity of day one training is designed to break the week. Injuries in the first 24 hours are common. Already, 6 of them have collapsed, and one has just given up.
มันลองกระดูกสะโพกมันไปทับเส้น ตอนนี้ชาหมดเลยเดินไม่ได้
พอเถอะเหนื่อยแล้วสมัยก็ออกเพื่อนมึงวิ่งกันทุกคนเลยมึงมาเดินมึงวิ่งไป
ตัวเองไม่ไหวหรอกเข้าใจไหมทำเรียนใหม่ไม่ต้องเสียใจ
Those that fail can apply to next year's course, but the older they are, the tougher it gets. And this year, the odds are against recruit 27. At 35, he's 14 years older than the average volunteer, and already he's struggling.
ขึ้นมาเป็นโลกแล้วเก่งมากนะ
Okay. So I wonder if he's putting on a spray version of Tiger Balm. So if you're not familiar with Muay Thai kickboxing, one of the traditional therapies there is a sort of a treated oil that when you put it on creates like a heat or a warming sensation. It helps improve blood flow to an area that's maybe sore and you want to get more blood to it. And that's a pretty classic traditional Thai treatment. So again, something that's really interesting that the U.S. Army has figured out or has realized is that often soldiers in their mid-30s actually do better. I read somewhere that among folks selected for like Delta Force and Tier 1 groups that they often are over 30. Because that level of maturity, that mature decision-making, that seasoning that you get from being in the operational army is just something that you can't train into someone quickly. And so every elite unit has to find a balance between finding soldiers or sailors that are mature and able to make these decisions in a tight situation and able to make the right decision, but also are young enough that they're physically able to keep up. They're physically able to, not just survive on the battlefield, but dominate it.
The pain doesn't stop. In teams, they have to now carry 3 rubber dinghies weighing nearly 250 kilograms. These boats will be one of their main modes of transport for the next 13 weeks.
ภารกิจหลักก็คือในเรื่องของการยกพลขึ้นบกวิธีหนึ่งที่เราจะเคลื่อนที่จากเรือนะครับเข้าสู่ฝั่งเนี่ยเราก็ใช้เรือยาง
All right, let's jump ahead a little bit. We're about the halfway.
They swim in operational conditions. No noise and no light. Exhaustion can lead to drowning. So separating from the team is a real danger.
Swimming with no lights in the dark sounds insane. I don't know what skill you're selecting for here, to be honest. Maybe a general spatial awareness, but it's just one of those things that it's like I understand doing things that are hard and like testing your awareness when you're exhausted and tired, but you're not going to be able. No amount of selection is going to select for a human being that can see in the dark, for example, that can run a marathon back to back to back, right? Eventually, you have to select. You have to select for skills that people really are going to have.
Silence and dark make them disoriented, and for the weak swimmers, that can lead to disaster. During extreme stress and exhaustion, accidents in the open ocean can turn fatal. In 2009 and 2010, recruits died during this exercise. Active drowning can happen when exhausted recruits can no longer stay afloat, and their lungs start to fill with water.
Yeah, this is insane. Why would you do this to your soldiers? Aren't there other ways to like select for the same skill? And I mean, I get it. In Thailand, those amphibious operations, they are hard. And you got to be proficient in the water. But again, why would you kill such a significant subset of like your best, toughest tier of soldier? Okay, I don't need to see this dude drowning.
They now need to paddle their rubber dinghies 27 kilometers in open ocean in under 5 hours. But it's more than just a workout.
อาจจะได้รับภารกิจที่พายออกจากเรือใหญ่ซึ่งจอดอยู่ระยะไกลฝั่งครับคือแทรกซึมเข้ามาในพื้นที่ใช้เรือยางแทรกซึมเข้ามานะครับเพราะว่ามันเงียบนะครับ
6 men row while one keeps direction at the back. To move its speed in the right direction will need teamwork.
ครับถ้าไม่พร้อมกันนะครับระยะทางก็ไม่ได้เวลาก็อาจจะเกินนะครับภารกิจก็อาจล้มเหลว
ช่วงให้เต็มพายช่วงให้เต็มพาย16แล้วไม่ได้เรื่องนะถ้าพวกคุณไม่ได้เรื่องเดี๋ยวโดดครับ
Hours of paddling, and Recruit 19 reveals a secret.
ที่บ้านยังไม่รู้เพราะถ้าเขารู้เขาคงไม่ให้มาเรียนแน่นอนลำบากชนิดที่ว่าตัวเองยังไม่รู้เลยต้องลำบากขนาดไหนแล้วเลือกที่จะมาแล้วเลือกที่จะฝึกแล้วต้องเอาให้ได้
ให้เพิ่มจังหวะการพายให้เร็วกว่านี้
I wonder if they're rotating out the coxswain. Again, the coxswain seems like the easiest position in the back while everyone else is rowing. And rowing continuously on the same side is kind of a recipe for like a repeated use injury. I mean, again, they just don't seem to care about the injuring or like seriously injuring their troops. Again, you got to find this balance between not breaking your best people and selecting for the mentally and physically toughest.
ปีเข้าไปคู่กันสองคู่นั่นน่ะเห็นเปล่า
All right, let's skip it ahead.
ขยับอีกขยับอีกขยับอีกปลายเท้าออกไปหน่อยพร้อมแล้วไปได้
Okay, this seems weird. Oh, nice. Did you see that? So when he came up, he signaled he was fine with the universal scuba diving signal for OK, which is this, forming a big O to say OK. Yep. Interesting. I wonder if this is like a late stage like swim proficiency training. It just seems weird that you would choose this time to train like basic swimming proficiency when you've already nearly drowned a bunch of your recruits.
Before the next test, they are treated to lunch aboard ship and some recon punishment.
พื้นเรือเป็นเหล็กครับเสื้อ2 ชั้นครับยังร้อนอยู่เลยเหมือนหมูในกระทะของหมูกระทะครับ
เป็นการฝึกรับประทานอาหารในสภาวะที่มันลำบากเราต้องเอาตัวรอดเอาชีวิตรอดไว้ก่อน
Training them to eat in a difficult situation. I'm trying to understand why. The only thing I could think is maybe the idea is to train out this sense of like normalcy, to be like, oh, doing X is weird, right? Eating with your mouth is weird or wrong, but it's like if you have to do something, you just do it. You know, I think about like snipers or people in long-range OPs will just have to urinate and defecate in a bag, right? And you just seal the bag and you just carry it with you. And if you're not already like a backpacker or an outdoorsman, that can feel pretty weird, pretty out there. And maybe the idea is just to normalize the abnormal for these folks, which I guess can kind of make sense.
In real operations, these men need to be prepared for any emergency at sea. Their lives and the lives of their teammates depend on how strong they are in the water.
โอกาสจะจมน้ำมีนะจะเกิดให้เขาฝึกการถอดเสื้อผ้าออกเพื่อให้เขาสามารถว่ายน้ำขึ้นสู่ฝั่งได้ง่ายขึ้น
Recruit 27, the oldest of the team, goes first.
ขออนุญาตทำการทดสอบถอดชุดในน้ำครั้งที่หนึ่งพร้อมเอาเลย
The men need to be able to tread water and quickly remove their uniforms. Then put them back on again. The longer it takes, the weaker they will get, and the less likely they will pass.
Again, strange sort of exams.
M16 and live M26 grenades. A mistimed grenade thrown incorrectly could cause multiple casualties.
Wait, what? There's no like cover between them and the grenade. Like grenade fragments can go a long way. And also, again, if these guys are really like exhausted, why would you kill your potential best recruits because of a mistake of one of your poor recruits? It just seems, again, like their ability to assess risk relative to the training that they're cultivating for is just sort of off.
This is the one point in their training the men have to carefully control their aggression. If they don't focus under pressure, a misfire could kill their teammates.
Okay, that's probably a good way to do it, right? Everyone's online, right? They're facing their targets forward. Now, this seems perfectly safe range safety. And this is actually how you would probably like clear an objective. Again, think something like a bunker or like a little an enemy squad in the open, right? You're assaulting through the objective. You're online. You're making sure to not cross into each other's lanes of fire. Yeah, so this actually seems like tactically sound. You see that they practiced even searching the target and like searching it and being like, okay, target's clear. Yeah, this is pretty standard small unit tactics, but they're correct.
The live firing exercise was a success.
Oh, interesting. And then they like blew the target, right? And that would be things like weapons, ammunition, comms equipment, anything you didn't want to fall back into the enemy's hands that you weren't taking with you, you would want to destroy, right? So it can't be used against you later.
But now it's time for the bigger bags. The team will learn how to handle explosives and mines.
วัตถุระเบิดที่ใช้เนี่ยมันเป็นวัตถุระเบิดจริงนะครับแล้วก็ที่สำคัญก็คือเพื่อให้นักเรียนเนี่ยได้เกิดความคุ้นเคยนะการใช้วัตถุระเบิดต่างๆ
Yeah, this is actually probably really realistic. You do have to train this sort of detonation stuff, and detonating something is actually kind of a science. You know, you can't just slap C4 onto everything and expect it to be destroyed. There's a lot of things where, depending on where you place the explosives, depending on what kind of charge you use, depending on the shape of the charge, you'll achieve different effects, right? It could be the difference between damaging a ship and still having it be operational, or sinking a ship, destroying a weapons cache or a vehicle, and just, you know, scuffing up the paint, right? So this is actually, there is a lot of science to demolition. Okay, let's take a look. We'll fast forward a little bit. We'll see maybe one of the last training events, and we'll...
It's only one final push of mind over body to earn the Marine Recon badge.
I love how they make things dramatic by doing the shaky cam. I also just want to point out a lot of their standard gear is U.S. Vietnam War era gear. They've got LBEs, they've got the canteens, they've got the 20. They're actually 20-round magazine ammo pouches. Very, very old school U.S. Vietnam era. But that's pretty common for selection courses to have a standardized loadout, a standard kit. That's sometimes a little dated, right? You can see in some of the SEAL training. At least some of the videos I've seen, they actually use a very, very old style, like Korean War era helmet. Oh yeah, and they've even got Alice packs. That's pretty cool.
บรรพบุรุษของทหารนาวิกโยธินเสียสละเพื่อปกป้องประเทศชาติครูหวังเป็นอย่างยิ่งว่าผลผลิตของหลักสูตรการรบพิเศษจะได้จันโรงความตั้งใจของบรรพบุรุษของเราที่จะรักษาประเทศชาติอธิปไตยจนกว่าชีวิตจะหาไม่ขอปิดหลักสูตรการฝึกการรบพิเศษณบัดนี้
It's an emotional occasion for all the men and a time to celebrate.
I'm glad my son survived. Yeah, that's a pretty typical mom sentiment right there. Oh man, so that's pretty crazy. I mean, it doesn't look like they cleaned up at all. Damn, that's crazy. That like you graduate and like you walk straight into your graduation banquet and that you just look like a total shit show. That's pretty ballsy. That's pretty ballsy. But I give him credit, man. You know, the Thai people are no joke. If you know, the little bit of like Muay Thai that I'm familiar with, it's a sport of just grinding, gritty fighters, and this definitely is right in line with that tradition. Again, I find it to be a little bit high risk, putting people in danger for no real tactical reason, but there's no doubt that these guys are tough and they are capable. And again, this is a country, these are the elite soldiers of a country whose military is effectively the whole government. So you can imagine that these guys are the elite of the elite and are expected to really serve on their country's front lines. So that was pretty cool to see. All right, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, hit like. Let me know. Let YouTube algorithm know that I'm making good content. Of course, subscribe for more fun military content. I, of course, look at films, movies, documentaries, video games, anything military related, and weigh in on it. And until next time, I will see you guys